Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV's News Prime. Live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, I am Judith Peters. On the news, it says the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed a top prosecutor for the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Rotimi Oyedepo, and 6 others as new aides. The new appointees have been deployed to the Federal Ministry of Justice, Abuja. They are meant to function under the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, Hussein Oloyede, Special Assistant on Arbitration, Drafting and Regulations, Rotimi Oyedepo, Special Assistant on Financial Crimes and Public Prosecution Compliance, Monsurat Gafar, Special Assistant on Coordination and Intergovernmental Agency Relations, Marcus Obiene Fernandez, Special Assistant on Justice Sector Reforms and Digital Innovative Technology, Ahmed Wadar, Special Assistant on Special Duties, Tolu Obaro, Technical Advisor on Oil and Gas, Arbitration and International Disputes. As well, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Monday said he has absolute confidence in the integrity of his Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. Tinubu said this just before the commencement of this week's Federal Executive Council meeting at the Council Chamber of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. His comments come just 48 hours after a report emerged that the COS may be battling an integrity crisis following allegations that he has been trading off appointments in the government of President Bola Tinubu to the highest bidder. The report alleged a growing outcry among Tinubu's loyalists who are insisting that Gbajabiamila is eased out of the presidential villa. But responding to the allegations, President Tinubu affirmed that I have absolute confidence in my Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, so all campaign of calumny, the book stops here. If I mistakes, I will own up to them. I iron them out and correct them. Perfection is of God Almighty. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic presidential candidate in the February 25 election, Atiku Abubakar, says the Supreme Court and the presidential election petition have alleged truncated the trust of Nigerians and the electoral system in Nigeria. The former vice president, during a press briefing in Abuja on Monday, criticized the verdict of the Supreme Court in the 2023 presidential election. Dikelamo Okeri completes the rest of the story.
This conference, where the former vice president of Nigeria and the People Democratic Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Atiku Abubakar, rejects the judgment of the Supreme Court that affirmed the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Speaking on the verdict of the Supreme Court, Abubakar criticizes the electoral body and the judiciary for defending illegality.
I meant that the bigger laws would not be mine, but Nigeria's, if the Supreme Court legitimizes illegality, including forgery, identity theft, and perjury, as it has done.
Abubakar, however, emphasizes the erosion of trust in the electoral system and the importance of preserving Nigerian democracy for future generations. He advocates for reform to enhance transparency, build confidence in the electoral process, and restore voters' right to elect leaders.
The appointment of electoral officials has also been hijacked by the ruling party, as seen in the latest nomination of resident electoral commissioners, where card-carrying members of the ruling party and aides to politicians in the APC are being appointed into INEC. When two critical institutions like the court and the Electoral Commission are trapped in an evil web of political marginalization, it becomes next to impossible for democracy to thrive.
The former vice president, while acknowledging the end of the phase of his political career, expressed his ongoing commitment to strive for political and economic restructuring in Nigeria, primarily led by the young generation.
In my party, this phase of work is done. However, I'm not going to go away. If you think If you think I'm going to go away, forget about it.
It could be recalled that Atiku, being dissatisfied by the presidential election results, headed for the Supreme Court and subsequently sought to include additional forgery evidence, which he obtained from Chicago State University. But the court objected this on the ground that plea was made outside 180-day mandatory period stipulated by the law. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The former majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Edison Ehi, has emerged the new Speaker of the State Assembly. Meanwhile, the Chief Judge of Rivers State, Simeon Amadi, has been suspended. Global TV will keep following this development for our viewers. As well, the embattled governor of Rivers State, Simi Nalaye Fubara, has declared that he has done nothing to warrant impeachment by the State House of Assembly. Fubara said this on Monday while addressing his supporters at the Assembly complex shortly after the House members, led by their Speaker Martin Amaiwole, convened to begin the impeachment process against him. The governor, who assured the people of the state of getting the dividends of democracy, said he would speak on the matter at an appropriate time. There had been reports of gunshots and firing of tear gas within the Rivers State House of Assembly complex on Monday, as some lawmakers start to begin an impeachment process on Governor Simi Nalaye Fubara. The lawmakers also suspended the leader of the House, Edison Ehi, and some of their colleagues believed to be loyal to the governor. The development occurred hours after a fire broke out at the Assembly complex on Sunday night.
By the voting, those that voted in favor of the removal of Edison Ehi as the majority leader of this House, 23, abstention nil, against nil. By that result, Edison Ehi is now removed as the majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly in line with our standing orders.
Members of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria in Edo State on Monday shut the gate to the Edo State House of Assembly following the expiration of the ultimatum for the implementation of financial autonomy in legislative houses in the country. The situation, which developed into a protest in front of the Assembly, prevented lawmakers from accessing the chamber. At the commencement of the nationwide industrial action on Monday, Umaru Faruk Haruna, chairman-person Edo State's chapter, said the national president of ASEAN, Comrade Mohammed Usman, has directed all chairmen and secretaries to mobilize members of maximum compliance. He added that the nationwide peaceful protest was being complied with by Edo State person members after the expiration of 2 days ultimatum given to the government and governors of the 36 states to implement ultimatum in all legislative houses of the country, which was further extended by 1 week and ended October 27, 2023. And you're watching Global TV News Prime, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're in StarTimes, channel 273. Can we follow? Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcasts of the News Prime from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Let's take a look at the news where the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted sunny and thundery weather conditions from Monday to Wednesday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja predicted sunny skies over the northern region on Monday, with prospect of thunderstorm over part of Taraba during the afternoon and evening periods. According to it, sunny skies with patches of clouds are anticipated over the north-central region, with prospect of thunderstorm over part of the FCT, Benue, Nasarawa and Kogi State during the afternoon and evening hours. Cloudy skies with spells of sunshine are expected over the southern region, with prospect of morning thunderstorm over part of Cross River, Bayelsa, Rivers and Akwa Ibom. Isolated thunderstorm are expected over part of Osun, Oyo, Ebonyi, Ekiti, Ondo, Edo, Imo, Anambra, Enugu, Abia, Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. The public is advised to take necessary precautions due to those particles presently in suspension in the atmosphere, urging individuals with respiratory ailments to protect themselves, as the current dusty weather condition could have diverse effects on their health. Airstrikes again identified terrorist hideouts and enclaves in Borno State, northern Nigeria, continued over the weekend, unbated sequel to intelligence received from land component of Operation Adenkai that about 22 terrorists in a gun truck and motorcycles were sighted near Mate. NAF aircraft of the air component of OPHK were immediately dispatched to interdict the location. After trailing the terrorists for about 70 minutes, the terrorists and the gun truck and two motorcycles stopped underneath a tree, probably to refuel or evade being seen. The targets were subsequently engaged with a huge ball of fire engulfing the area observed afterward, destroying the gun truck and motorcycles with no signs of movement observed afterward. The failed strategies adopted by terrorists to evade detection and the firepower of the land and air component of Operation Adenkai by moving from one point to another is indicative of their inability to hold ground and pose significant threat to military formations or peak on soft civilian targets at will. And now on the foreign scene, Israel troops and tank attacked Gaza's main northern city from the east and west on Monday, 3 days after it began ground operations in the Palestinian enclave that have increased international pressure from civilians to be protected. Israel's military said it has struck more than 600 militant targets over the past few days as it expanded ground operations in the Gaza Strip, where Palestinian civilians are in dire need of food and clean water as the war enters its fourth week. Israel began a big push into Gaza late on Friday and renewed calls for civilians to move from the north of the tiny coastal enclave to the south as it goes after Hamas militants. It says are hidden in a labyrinth of tunnel under Gaza City. Still on the foreign sea, where at least 3 people have been killed in the restive southern Philippines as millions turned out to vote for village leaders following months of deadly poll-related violence. Security forces were on high alert across the country on Monday as a long-delayed nationwide vote for more than 336,000 cancelled positions got underway. More than 300,000 police officers and soldiers have been deployed to secure polling stations in more than 42,000 villages. The shootout happened during a confrontation between supporters of rival candidates for village captain, said Datu Olden, St. Soat Municipality Police Chief Lieutenant Colonel Ismail Madden. As well, human error was the cause of a deadly train crash that killed at least 14 passengers and injured nearly 50 in India's southeastern Andhra Pradesh state. A passenger train overshot a signal on Sunday between the towns of Alamada and Katakapale in the Vizianagaram district, striking a stationary train. At least 3 cars were derailed in the accident. Government officials said that rescue efforts were over and the focus was now on track restoration. In his reaction on social media following the incident, Prime Minister Narendra Modi sought to assure people that officials were working to deal with the unfortunate train derailment. The Minister of Railways announced cancellation and diversion in the wake of the accident on its X handle. Hundreds of people have stormed the main airports in Russia, the Dagestan region, ostensibly to protect against the arrival of a flight from Israel amid the war in Gaza. The crowd on Sunday broke past security, with some making it into the runway of Kala airport before they were removed by security forces. Russia's Interior Ministry said More than 150 active participants in the unrest have been identified and 60 of them have been arrested. 9 police officers were injured in clashes with the crowd, including 2 were receiving treatment at a hospital. The government warned the protesters on Telegram not to continue illegal acts and not to interfere with the work of airport employees. And now in Nigeria business news, where the World Bank has warned that the war between Israel and Hamas could trigger price shock for raw materials such as oil and agriculture product, or if the conflict escalates across the Middle East. The World Bank gave this warning on Monday in a report. Israel officials said the oil has already risen 6% since the latest round of fighting sparked when Hamas militants from Gaza stormed southern Israel and killed more than 1,400 people, mostly civilians, and seized nearly 240 hostages. Israel has responded with an unrelenting bombardment of Gaza, which the Hamas-run health ministry says has killed more than 8,000 people, nearly half of them are children. The conflict between Israel and Hamas comes as Russia's war in Ukraine has already put pressure on markets, with that war being the biggest shock to commodity markets since the 1970s. One World Bank chief economist, Itamar Gill, the World Bank added that any potential price hikes will depend on what happens to world oil prices and exports. The World Bank has said that the global oil price benchmark, Brent crude oil, averaged $84 per barrel in 2023. The bank stated this in its Commodity Market Outlook report released earlier on Monday, October 30th, and the reports the World Bank said that Brent crude oil prices are estimated to average $84 per barrel in 2024, tapering further in 2024 due to global growth weakening. They are predicted to stabilize in 2025 as both demand and supply recover. According to the World Bank report, in the third quarter of 2023, its energy price index saw a 9% rise, primarily driven by an 11% increase in oil prices, making up a significant portion of nearly 80% of the index. This increase came after OPEC Plus supply cuts, leading to an effective withdrawal of an additional 1% of total supply from July 2023 onwards. In the financial context, the Brent crude oil price experienced fluctuation, reaching a peak of $120 per barrel in June 2022, but returned by 23% to $95 per barrel by mid-October 2023. Various factors such as shifts in expectations for economic growth and alteration in OPEC Plus oil cuts significantly influenced this price variation throughout the year. Furthermore, oil prices were affected by the failure of major banks, fears of a global recession, and OPEC Plus production cuts, which led to steady price increases over the last few months. Still in business news, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) on Sunday lamented the devastating impact of the foreign exchange crisis on the economy and demanded urgent stabilization of the naira. The NLC President Joe Ajaero, who said this in a statement on Sunday, blamed government officials' love for foreign luxury products for the free fall of the national currency. Ajaero warned that the economy was at risk of what he termed a wave of devastating consequences if the naira fails to stabilize against the greenback. The NLC president's warning came ahead of the organized labor and the federal government's meeting scheduled to hold earlier today at the meeting. The federal government and the organized labor will review the implementation of the memorandum of understanding both parties signed on subsidy removal palliatives. General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation, and Sport, Mohammed Sanusi, has charged the Super Falcons to work as a team and bring their best game to tomorrow's 2024 Olympics qualifier against Ethiopia in Abuja. Sanusi made this assertion after watching the 9-time African champions training section. It reminded players and officials of the team that Nigeria has been absent from the past 3 Women Olympic football tournament, and this certainly does not credit to the country's rating as a leading global power in women's football. After failing to qualify for the 2016 and 2020 edition of the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro and Tokyo respectively, it charged the Falcons to book a place to next year's event in Paris. The NFF General Secretary said the Federation and all stakeholders remain very proud of the team and called on the team to finish off the job in Abuja following last week's 1-1 draw in Addis Ababa during the first leg. And for more updates on sports, let's now join Sharon Ajay. And that's it on Global TV News Prime, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. On Star Times, channel 276, can be followers across our social media platform using a Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your TV screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Judith Peters. Thank you so very much for watching. I'll see you again.